What's up, everyone? Zero here. Welcome back to the channel. I got another episode of the podcast for you guys, and today I sat down with BalorMage. Very cool dude. We had a really good conversation. In fact, it was the longest podcast I've done so far. We talked about Path of Exile 1, Path of Exile 2. All in all, it was a really great conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys want to support my channel, please consider joining the YouTube. It really helped me out a lot. Also, if you guys are enjoying these, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps get more eyeballs on the podcast and the channel. And with that being said, let's get into it. Most people are going to know who you are already, but will you introduce yourself and just kind of how you got into Path of Exile?
Oh, Lord. Oh, God, I barely even remember. Right, well, I'm BalorMage, and I first started I don't even know what year this was. I got put into Path of Exile, the league that Bloodlines came out, whenever the hell that was. A few weeks before the Bloodline League started, a friend of mine I used to play WildStar with was like, "Yeah, come check out this game I'm playing." And I started playing in hardcore immediately, like right off the bat. Fell in love within a day and never left. That was it. And then like 2 weeks later, a new league was starting. So I was like, all right, as much practice as I possibly can in 2 weeks time, and then start a new league with everyone else. For the longest time, for maybe a whole year, I was scared shitless of Brutus. To the point where I would get my friend to come kill Brutus every time we went up a difficulty, and I would complete the rest of it on my own in hardcore, because like you die, you start again. I'd complete the whole rest of the thing on my own, reset the difficulty, do the final boss and everything, which I think was Dominus at the time, maybe, or Piety, I don't remember, one of the two. And then I'd get back to Act 1, and then I'd look for a friend online to come kill Brutus for me because I was scared, which is ridiculous.
Right.
But I don't know, ever since then I sort of just never stopped. That was it. I was in POE forever from that point on.
Yep, that seems to be the case with a lot of people. They try it one time and then they're stuck for years and years and years. I'm pretty new, honestly, like in comparison to most people. I started playing in trials. I was a Diablo.
Oh, that is quite new.
Right. Yeah. I was a Diablo 4 refugee. I was looking forward to D4
yes.
for so long. I knew about Path of Exile, but I think I might have just fallen victim to the meme of like people pulling up the passive tree and then just closing it out. And I was like, oh, it just looks like kind of lame, but I mean, obviously I was way wrong, but once Diablo 4 came out, it was such a colossal train wreck that I needed to find something else, man. Because I was just talking about this on stream last night. There's an article that came out about how Diablo 4 was putting players to sleep. Have you ever seen this?
No.
Yeah, so it was like an article that came out saying that D4 was making people sleepy, and there was a lot of like speculation and stuff about maybe it was the camera angle, or maybe it was just, the game loop and the end game, just running nightmare dungeons over and over again. But yeah, I would be playing it and literally falling asleep, and I was just like, man, I gotta find something else to do. So I finally logged into Path of Exile, and I tried to make my own build at first, and I ran into a wall for a long time, and then I gave up. But yeah, I came back in Affliction and then followed a build guide, and yeah, so I've been stuck ever since. So,
yeah, you were making your own build the first time is...
Yeah, I'm stubborn though.
It doesn't go well.
Yeah, I'm stubborn though. I'm like, if you tell me like, oh, you shouldn't do this, you should play this way. I'm like, no. I'm gonna play the way I want to play, and I'll figure it out. And obviously, that's just not the case. There's just so many layers of complexity in Path of Exile, and not a lot's explained in the game. So it's really the reason why I started making content. It was because, I wanted to kind of explain from a newer person's perspective to kind of boil down some of the complexity, and maybe I could put it in a way that newer players coming in could understand better. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
And D4 might be one of the best things that ever happened to POE. The amount of people that came over is still insanely high.
Yeah.
Because you got a massive influx of millions and millions of people because Blizzard is way better known. So Diablo is basically a household name. Like, people who don't even play video games are aware that Diablo is a video game.
Right.
They might not even own a PC, and they still know that Diablo is a video game. They might not know anything about it, but it's so popular of a name that almost everybody knows it exists.
Yep.
Having that many people come over, play the game, and then get bored so quickly and go looking for other ARPGs, amazing for us.
It is. Very amazing. I was just playing, I hopped on, I do this once every season. I still go back just to see if I can, if it's gotten any better or not. And it's amazing to me that a group of developers at a company that large is still failing to create anything that's really engaging. I mean, I know a lot of people play it still, and that's cool. That's no hate on those people at all. I'm not like one of those dudes who gets all tribal about video games, but for me personally, the game is just so boring. I don't understand like how that gets past like every season. It's just the same thing over and over again. I don't get it.
I think they've nailed it. It's actually the most successful like ARPG on the market. It's just not for people who are ARPG fans.
Right.
It's for couch gamers and dads who get 3 hours a week total spread over the entire week. And right. And it's just like, because it's still, to be honest, still fun when I play it. And I go back like every second or third season. And I go and I have fun for like 2 days. Yeah. But 2 days for me is like 18 to 20 hours. Like if you're only able to play 3 hours over the course of the entire week and you're less efficient than I am, so that might take you 10 weeks to get out of fun. Right.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think they did nail it for the, I'm looking right now. Yeah. I'll pull it up on the screen so people can see it. But the Diablo 4 live players right now, it says active players in the last 30 days is 3.3 million.
Yeah. But if you looked at, if there was a separate stat somewhere tracking total time played rather than each individual person.
I wonder if there is one. Maybe we should try to look.
I wonder if that's a thing, because like, what I see D4 as is it's very much the like couch dad no time gamer thing, right?
Right.
Which is perfectly fine. There's nothing at all wrong with that. It just is. It's just not really aimed at like. I call myself a degenerate gamer. I'm a degenerate gamer. Like it's not aimed at me. The game isn't for me. I'm over it. I'm done in a day. Like it's just not my game.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it doesn't look like there's a stat for that. It looks like, I mean, I probably have to like do like a more specified Google search, but yeah, I don't know, man. For me personally, like I just can't get into it anymore, but I really hope that I think what they really need to do in that game is just change the skill tree and make it to where there are more options and allow like a little bit more build diversity in the game, and then have that synergize with the Paragon board more, like allow you to change your skills, like how we do like element conversion in Path of Exile. Have something similar to that, to where like cool. You take something like I don't know, let's just take a random skill like ice shards, right? Have it be something where you can convert it to like poison damage or something like that, and then make it to where you can change the way that the skill works. Instead of firing in a line, you could have it become a nova or have it become rain or something like that. If they did that, I really think that game would just explode in popularity, especially amongst the among the people who are like ARPG blasters, people who like build creation and stuff. I think they would do a lot better for themselves. But it is what it is, man. I don't hate. There's a lot of vitriol, against people that enjoy that game, which is strange to me. But to me, it's funny. Like my chat and I, we kind of clown each other, and it's pretty funny, dude. But it's just become a meme at this point for me. But hopefully, we'll see what happens. They said they're going to work on some stuff. I guess they talked to some of the big streamers and stuff. They displayed previewed some of the change. I don't know if, were you in on that at all when they,
Nah.
No. Okay. I think you primarily do Path of Exile stuff, correct? You don't make any Diablo content at all?
I definitely don't make Diablo content.
Okay.
Occasionally, like Last Epoch, Torchlight Infinite, other ARPGs.
Right.
But not Diablo.
Yeah. I think they did it mainly with people that were content creators for Diablo, but I guess they previewed some of the changes that were coming up. They're all under NDA though, so I don't think they're going to be able to talk about it until the expansion. But hopefully, man, we'll see what happens. I mean, I obviously want the game to survive and do well. It was a staple of my childhood. Did you play Diablo 2 when you were growing up? Yeah.
Yeah. Diablo 2 is what got me into the RPGs, the classic story.
Yeah.
I lost many nights sleep, didn't do any of the studying I was supposed to do, failed classes because of Diablo 2. All the standard normal things. Yeah.
I always tell people this story, but I got started before the internet was really a large thing. We used to have things called bulletin board systems. They were like local hubs that you could dial up to. With you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. So there was a game called Major Mud. It was a text-based RPG. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Played it too.
Yeah, you did? All right, cool.
Yeah.
Right on, man. That's a very rare thing. I had one person, I brought this up before on a podcast, and I had one person comment on it that they played it too. Not a lot of people know that game. But that's what I grew up playing. So, I mean, I played
a lot of different mud games, actually.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them. There was one called like Lost Rivers. There was a bunch of them, man. But the cool thing about it is that it was local, right? So everybody you played with was within like a 14-mile radius of you, because that was back when long distance phone calls cost like a fortune. Nobody could afford it. So everybody was like within a certain mile radius. I think it was like 14 or 7 miles. But yeah, it was cool because then you play and then you would like meet up like once a month. They would have like BBS meets.
And just for any of the really young people who don't know how that stuff works, we used to have to get our computers to call another computer because it's just a phone line. It wasn't an internet line, it was just a phone line. And so when I first started playing multiplayer games, I used to use my computer to call my friend's computer, but then it would just be us two connected. And we'd multiplayer play like One Must Fall 2097 or something.
Yep, we played used to do Doom Deathmatch like that. You remember that?
Yeah. Yep. And then somebody came up with the idea of having like a hub, which was basically like an old school switchboard where people, like old movies, people are like taking plugs out and putting them back in. It was almost exactly literally that system where we would all call a local hub and that switch was all plugged into each other and it would connect us into, instead of a world wide web, essentially a localized version of an internet that would only existed between this set of computers that are called this one local hub system, and we could play like a group multiplayer thing over the phone. Very cool, dude. It was that was a better time, I feel like. I think that was when the internet was more pure, and it was, I don't know, dude, it was very, very cool. Those were cool times for me. I loved growing up in that era when the internet was becoming a thing. Like I built my first... I don't know if I can say more pure. I watched somebody get beheaded. Well, okay. Well, let's not say... Let's not say more pure. Let's say, I don't know what the word would be for it. It would be like less diluted. Because now there's just so much on the internet, and right now you don't even really know what's real anymore with AI. It's gotten really wild. But back then it was, I don't know, there's something wholesome about it. I don't know. I like to reminisce. I get very nostalgic about that time. Sometimes I even, I'll look up Major Mud on online and see if there are any boards out there that I might just hop back on and play, but I don't know. It takes too much time, dude. I got too much shit going on now. Yeah. But I wanted to ask you, so you're mainly a Minion player in Path of Exile, right? Not intentionally. It just sort of happened that way. Okay. I don't like I played bows almost exclusively for like 7 years or 6 years or something like that. Like my level 100 in hardcore is Deadeye. I've got like 3 demis from winning hardcore races, and none of them were on minion builds. And then I started playing softcore. I sort of ended up shoehorned into minions by accident.
Okay.
Like, I made Poison SRS because we found some Korean on POE Ninja that was doing a really interesting Poison SRS build, and then I went and looked, and it was actually a small group of them. There was about 7 all Korean names who were doing Poison SRS, and then we went and looked and found the last 4 leagues. It was the exact same accounts doing the exact same builds for the last 4 leagues, and it was just this group of like 7 or 8 Koreans. And I was like, well, that's obviously working really well for them, and no one else is playing Poison SRS in existence. I'm gonna see if I can. We're gonna take all these ninjas and see if I can like make one, improve on it, see what I can do, make a build guide. Suddenly, it's now super meta.
Right.
But like, it wasn't my idea, but I guess I'm the one that popularized it.
Okay. That's
right.
what.
But then the same thing happened with Holy Relic. There was a video on YouTube. I forget the guy's name now. I credited him the first like 3 or 4 iterations of the build for Holy Relic Poison. I credited the guy on YouTube who I found the idea for the build from, who was playing it. It had like 700 views in it. I linked everyone to that video. I stopped crediting him now because I've changed it too many times since then. And also, like, how long do I have to keep working and iterating on a build before I can stop?
Yeah, before you make it.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, it was a really good build. It was a really solid idea. I didn't like any of his pathing. There were different gear choices. I didn't end up changing a lot, but like, it came from somebody else. And the reason it happened is because I was like, oh, this is not getting covered. It looks amazing. It needs more attention, and it looks fun. And so it just ended up that 2 of my most popular builds back to back for like ongoing years happened to be very unique minion builds that weren't done before I started them or weren't popular before I started them, right?
Right.
I didn't create these things. I iterated on them. I think I improved them. I hope I improved them. I worked pretty hard on it, but I didn't come up with the original concepts. It just happens to be 2 builds back to back. And now I'm sort of a minion guy, I guess. Like, I'm not really like attached to play minions though. Like, I'm not against it. It's fine. But I'll play just about anything so long as it fits the rest of the things I want, which is like really smooth, fun to play, moderately tanky, moves at a decent speed. Like, I don't want to be a glass cannon, and I don't want to have to reroll like 7 different map mods.
Right.
Right?
Right. I wanted to ask you, I have your Holy Relic Occultist pulled up from 327. This is 327, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Why did you go? I wanted to ask you this because this might help people. Because the main reason why I started this podcast is just to kind of talk to build creators and kind of get some ideas for people that were maybe have some game knowledge, but they're hitting a wall when it comes to creating their own builds. Why did you pick Occultist for this instead of a Necromancer?
So the build starts as a Necromancer, right? Like, it's been a Necromancer for many leagues. The problem with Necromancer, the biggest issue that I came up with is in this most recent league, I needed more DPS than was allowed via Poison.
Okay.
Poison has a DPS cap, a total amount of damage per minute that you're allowed to do. I think it's like
34 million, isn't it?
36 or something like that. 34 or 36, something like that. I forget the number.
Isn't it? It's 35.8.
35,700 or something like that.
35.8 million according to Reddit is what it says.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
But whatever it is, the content we were trying to do required more. And so slowly, as I was min-maxing in the build, I started pulling poison support out, but like keeping it poisoning.
Okay.
But like investing heavier in other areas because there was always a hit component to the ability anyway. So I started like scaling up the hit. And then at some point I ended up with like 57 million DPS total. And I was like, I'm really working real hard at keeping poison in here. And I wonder if I should just go crit. And then I was like, I want to go crit, but there are other problems as well. Like life regeneration of mobs that was becoming an issue in like a big juiced delirium map with like a Soul Eater rare that was on consecrated ground, which sure, like maybe I shouldn't have run that, but I don't like to look at map mods, right? So there was like that problem, plus not enough damage, plus in the highest level of juice, it was like not having enough clear. And so I ended up wanting to have Withering Presence and Profane Bloom and Void Beacon to fix it. And by then I was like, well, I've been having to pick one. What do I really need from Necromancer at this point? What do I really, really need? And like I had a look at it and I was like, I really only need Unnatural Strength. It's the only node that I actually have to have. I would still be league starting this as a Necro. This is definitely, doing it as an Occultist is definitely a min-max thing. But like once you've got enough gear, the only thing you really need is the functional change of making minions convert all of their damage to chaos.
Right.
Everything else can be replaced by gear. And so I was like, well, why am I still a Necromancer then? If there are 3 things I want and feel like I need out of a Cultist, and only 1 I need out of Necromancer, then I guess we change. And so we did that. And then at that point, it was like, well, then why are we poison anymore if we're doing this? And so we ended up giving up poison and going full hit and then leaning into crit. And then led me to a new min-max place that I've never taken that before. I think I ended up with 82 million in the final version. Okay. With also that, and that's in like a full clear setup with Profane Bloom and everything. And
right.
It was the fastest clearing version of that I've ever done.
Yeah, it looked really cool when I was watching the video. It looked like the build was a lot of fun.
It just sort of happened like one thing at a time as I was min-maxing it, right? It was just like, well, I need this one extra thing. And I need this extra thing now. And now I've got this problem to solve. And I've just slowly moved itself over to just change over to full hit and Occultist.
Why did you choose Holy Relic? What about Holy Relic stood out to you? Like as far as like when you were, I know you said you saw the other person had that build, but what about this skill makes this superior to doing like other minion skills, like animate weapon or something like that?
A few things. One, it plays a lot quicker than most other minion builds because it is essentially just like Lancing Steel of Spraying. Lancing Steel of Spraying is any hit procs Holy Relic on whatever's the closest mob to it at the time.
Right.
At an alarmingly fast rate. Lancing Steel of Spraying auto targets anything in like this huge cone of about 1/3 of the screen. Like about like if you split the screen up into like 3 triangles, whichever direction you face, it will automatically target anything in that area.
Okay.
So you don't have to aim. It becomes completely immune to every map mod. And its clear speed is about as fast as any lightning arrow build in existence. So I was just like, oh, I get to be really, really tanky. I get to have great single target. I get to not have to aim. I get to be completely immune to every map mod. And that was it. I was like, oh, I'm in. Let's go. Like, it isn't the tankiest build in the world, nor is it the highest DPS build in the world. But it's got more than enough tank and more than enough damage. It's just like the all-rounder of everything.
I wanted to ask you this because you're a minion player. So I wanted to ask, I've always like, I've played minions before, but I'm not like a big minion player. How do you know how much damage these, the Holy Relic is doing? Like, is there a way for you to tell, the amount, because, you know, like on a regular skill, it'll say, you know, X to X, you know, chaos damage or whatever it is, or physical damage.
Path building is the answer.
That's the only way to tell?
There's no in game. There is no information in game on any of the minions. It's horrendous.
Interesting. That's really fascinating. Why? I wonder why they chose or still choose to not add that. That's really weird.
I don't know if it's a choice so much as it's they never had it to begin with, and now it would take so much development time to put it in that it just isn't worth the time that it would take.
Right. That makes sense.
Like if it was simple or easy, it would just have been in, right? Like, because enough of us want it, and it's obviously something that should be there.
Right.
I think if it was easy, they would just add it. I think it's just a matter of it would take X amount of hours, and that would take away from development that actually matters. And the rest of us have sort of got used to not having the information in game at this point. It just, we just get over it.
Right. Right. That's just, I just always found that interesting. Like they're the same thing with like the specters and stuff. There's just no in-game resource to tell you what is going to be a good choice when it comes to minions. And I think that that's what always like, that's what always kind of turned me off from it. Cause I like to try to figure things out, and I want to be able to look at a skill and be like, okay, I can see it does this amount of damage. I can do like the damage conversion. I can figure a little, I can figure things out with it, with that tooltip. But with minions, it's just like, hey, it does some physical damage. So good luck.
Yeah.
Like,
or does it? Or even does it though. Like it might say that, but does it? It might not. You never really know.
So what is the damage for Holy Relic? Do you know off the top of your head or no?
Oh, like no, I wouldn't have a clue. I'd have to look it up.
I wonder if it has it on POE.
Oh, it's on POEDB. It's on the wiki. It's in the Path of Building.
It is right here. Okay.
Yeah, everything's got it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's so weird. I just don't understand that. It never made sense to me. But so on this build in particular, this the occultist build, are there any like really like cool and interesting interactions that you have going on here besides the because I see here your EHP is off the charts. What's making your effective hit pool so large in this build?
I can go over why that's high. But something I want to point out, and that I think is important for almost everyone to know, is that number is almost entirely irrelevant, and I almost wish Path of Exile Path of Building didn't show it.
Wow.
Because I can buff that number to insane amounts and still have a character that falls over in maps easily.
Huh. Okay.
So,
can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So what effective hit pool is currently doing, and what it does by default, is it assumes you're going to be hit by X amount, and then it works out how many times you would have to get hit for that amount in a row to die. And so it lets you account for things like recovery, which doesn't actually matter if you die in one hit, or if your form of recovery isn't reliable, but Path of Building thinks it is, which it could be. So there's a lot of ways to like buff the effective hit pool number up and make it look really good without it actually increasing your tankiness at all.
So it's like, for instance, just to give an example for that. So like if I had an insane amount of leech, but didn't have like 100% hit chance, would that buff the number?
I don't know if leech does. Block does.
Okay.
For instance, like you've got 75% block, it'll buff your effective hit pool. But if your life is 3,000, then 1 out of every 4 hits one-shots you. Right. It isn't a tanky build, even though it might look like, right? You could easily have a situation where you get so much recovery on block, you recover like 8% of your life and 7% of your energy shield, and then you're going to block 82% of the time by the time you've like, and you can make that effective hit pool look really good, and that's still 1 in 5 hits one-shots you, so the build's still bad, right?
Right. That's like my the Elementalist that I'm playing right now, the Blade Vortex. It has very low life. It's only got about 3,000 life, but it's using this Valen shield too, so the chance to block is lucky. But every now and then, I will get one-shotted. It's just too low life. Yeah.
So there's a few. So the more important stats to look at are the ones under that. Max Fizz hit, max elementals, max chaos hit. Those max hits, those are to me the important ones. They're the ones that matter. And it is generally the max Fizz hit that gets you killed.
Right.
And I have some like minimum magic numbers in my head that just are the points at which a build flips from like feeling bad to feeling good.
Okay.
And like, so the minimum max Fizz hit for me to be comfortable at all is 10k.
Okay.
And at 10k, you will still die at least 2 or 3 times a day in an 8-hour day. You'll still die at least 2 or 3 times, maybe as much as 6, but you'll be able to complete all of your maps. You'll be able to jump back in again. You'll be able to progress XP, and you'll still be able to get to around level 95, 96 without running out of experience. That's at 10. At around 12, 13, that halves the amount of deaths that you have. You can pretty easily get to 97. 15 is usually like my minimum goal for any sort of blaster. And then if you want to stop dying enough that you could get to level 100, I'm looking at like a minimum of about 30.
Okay.
Right? Like that's my like go-to goals. Obviously, more the better, and there's levels of juice to that, and there's tier 17s that are like certain content that's going to be way more difficult, etc. But those are like my guidelines in my head. So this one's sitting at like 46, but there's a few really cool tricks to that.
Okay.
One of them is my favorite trick that I only learned this league. I have never used before. If we look on one of my rings, the Gloam ring, there is a level 30 aspect of the crab. That is a really interesting skill. Level 30 aspect of the crab stacks up to 12 times, and every stack reduces physical damage taken by 2%. So it's a total of 24%, right? Physical, just generic physical damage reduction. Very, very strong. The downside is supposed to be if you get hit once, you lose all your stacks.
Okay.
And so it goes away. It only protects from one hit.
Okay.
Two things about that though. It does not go away if you block. So with the lucky block of like 91% attack block, we've only got 9% of hits coming through. So that's like less than 1 in 10 hits actually come through. And then if the hit hits ward and not life, it still applies the damage reduction, but it doesn't remove the stack.
Oh.
Yeah. So what I have is ward on the shield, ward on the gloves, and in a later version of this, I also have ward boots. And I end up with, in a slightly later version of this, around 14 to 1600 ward.
Oh, wow.
And some faster recovery of ward so that it recovers within, I think it was like 0.8 seconds.
Okay.
And so now aspect of the crab stays up the whole time. That one attack gets through, removes my ward. If I don't get hit again within 0.8 seconds for a physical hit, that ward comes back and I get to keep the full stacks of aspect of the crab the whole time.
Wow.
It almost never disappears.
That's a really cool interaction. I never knew about that either. That's wild. Okay. Where are you getting the ward generation from? What's the source of it?
It happens, it's a roll that only happens on ward gear. So if it's a ward base, it's like a suffix, I think it is.
Okay.
This version you're looking at is just when I started to use that tech.
Oh,
so I hadn't rolled new gloves or new boots yet at that point.
Is it ward? Is it just faster restart of ward? Is that what the suffix is called?
Yep.
Got it. Okay. That's really fascinating, man. Well, thank you for that because I know what I'm going to be doing from now on. That's
that was one of my favorite things. It really only works because of the Svalin's lucky block.
Right.
Right? Because if you and I would still lose it very occasionally, but like if you've got Svalin lucky block, you're only dealing with that 9% that make it through because you've got 91% block chance. And so you just have to like recover quick enough that 9% hit, you don't get hit twice on it, right?
Right. That's cool, man. That's really
awesome. So that's actually huge for it. That's one of the biggest reasons that my physical damage hit is so large. And it's one of the things that basically stopped me from dying and let me do all the abyss things at like super delirious levels and just not care about anything.
That's pretty cool. So what else? Oh, it's faster restoration of ward. That's what it is.
That's the one.
Okay.
That's the one.
Got it. I was struggling to find it. I couldn't find the strength dex int base on POE/DB, so I had to pull it up in Path of Building. But so that's for the physical hit. So what else do you have going on for the elemental and the chaos?
Chaos, I just don't think is an issue so long as I'm chaos res capped. Okay. I do think it's an issue that I do think you need to get chaos res capped. But I think as long as you've done that, I don't think chaos ever really poses a big threat. So I really don't usually deal with it other than making sure I'm res capped. It's usually enough.
Yeah. You can get by even not res cap too. I mean, for chaos res. Yeah. I've done it before.
You certainly can.
Yeah.
I tend to not, but I mean, in this iteration, it's just Mage Blood with triple Ellie flasks, which is a pretty standard, like, min-max defense for it. But to be entirely honest, the Mage Blood in this build is almost flexing for no real reason. It's, at best, it's maybe at 10% better overall than just a 100% Darkness Enthralled would be.
Okay.
For like 120 times the price. It's just, you're flexing for literally no reason. This build didn't need it. It's got a ton of lucky block. It's already got some max res on the tree. It's already got an insane, and I do mean insane, amount of recovery. Like, it's the most insane amount of recovery I feel like I've ever had.
Okay.
If I've done this before, but if we, I don't know if you've got it open. If you go over to Lancing Steel of Spraying. Yeah. And you like mouse over that, it says fires 14 projectiles, right? Yeah. And then we go, it's got an attack rate of, what is my attack rate? How often do I attack? I think it's 4 times a second. I don't know where that's listed in Path of Building, but I'm pretty sure it's 4 times a second.
This says the attack rate is 30.3. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I really don't know what that means.
I don't know what that is either, but I'm pretty sure my attack rate in game at that point is like 0.26, which is like very close to 4 times a second. So close that we might as well call it 4 for rounding. Okay. Right? So if it's 4 times a second, it auto targets, so it never misses. If there's only a single target, that is 4 times a second times 14, right? Because there's 14 projectiles, which is 56, but they all return because it's got returning projectiles in it. So it's times 2, which gives me 112 individual hits per second. If there's only one mob on the screen. It also pierces all enemies. Right. But assuming there's only one mob, that's 112 hits per second. It's got life gain on hit support in it. That's 54 life gain per enemy hit with supported skills. So when you times that by 54, you recover 6,048 life per second if there's only a single target.
So essentially, you recover, let's see, what is it? 30%?
1.5 times my health.
30%, yeah, 30% more of your entire hit pool per second. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but if there's only one target, if there's more, then, pierces all targets. So if it can hit more, it can hit more. That's great.
Yeah, it's funny because when I chose the underneath the tab, when I chose Lancing Steel as the main skill, your life leech on hit went up to 22,909. Pretty funny.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just a lot. It's just a lot of recovery, which basically just means if you don't get one shot, you don't die. Right. And so the rest of the defense of this character is just built around, well, let's make sure I don't get one shot. That's all. I just need to make sure I do not get one shot. As long as I don't get one shot, you cannot kill me. Yeah. I will not die to attrition on this build. Right. It will not.
That's awesome, man. This is really cool. I want to actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I actually want to try this out. I was I started a private league in Path of Exile 1 just because we were bored. We're kind of in that in-between period right now where the POE 2 league's been going on for a little bit. I mean, I could go back. I'm still having fun in it. Like, I have a really good cast on crit blood mage right now that I put together using Ember Fusillade and Fireball. It's a lot of fun.
Love it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I did that one I did a version of that last season. It was really, really fun.
Yeah, dude, it just rains down hundreds of comets. It's really, really cool. But I'm still having fun with it. Like, I'll go back and play it, but I kind of wanted, now that we have the release date for 3.27, I wanted to jump back in to POE 1, so I just started a private league, but I think I might try this. How is this build for leveling and stuff, like Holy Relic?
I'm gonna be honest, it's not a good idea for us private league.
Okay.
Or solo self-found.
Okay.
It just doesn't. It is bordering on rough in the early game.
Okay.
It doesn't hold up very well to leveling. You're going to level as something completely different. It's going to be SRS to level because this doesn't function without the old quality gems. And then it maps pretty easy, and it is immune to map mods immediately, like the moment you get to maps, which is really, really nice for progression.
Mm-hmm.
But even by the time you hit like mid-red maps on like what for me is day 1 and for a lot of other people is like day 2 or 3, even by then, it will be quite a struggle if you can't get your hands on a Dialis.
Okay.
And that is like one of them, not the rarest drop. It's not like a tier 0, but it is like a tier 1. It's pretty rare. And in like a small private league, it's very reasonable that if there's like 50 people playing with you, you won't see a Dialis for a week.
Right.
And you don't want to be someone who can't clear tier 16 maps for a week.
What this has an interesting interaction. I know this for because I have played Holy Relic prior. I can't remember what league it was, but this has an interesting interaction with the hit rate of Holy Relic, correct?
Yes. So Holy Relic, basically, you have to hit breakpoints in its quality to get more attacks off. Okay. Lancing Steel of Spraying specifically lets us ignore one entire component of that we used to have to put up with. Without Lancing Steel of Spraying, I wouldn't play this because it would be too much of an annoyance. It used to be you have to proc things like this with something like Cyclone.
Okay.
And you would have to balance your own your own attack speed so that you weren't attacking too quick, like how Cast on Crit builds used to work as well, where if we round it out, I probably don't need to go this in depth for you, but for anyone else, I will anyway. If we round it out to big whole numbers, it becomes easier to understand. So the tick rates of these are way smaller, but I'm going to pretend that they're 1 second long because it's easier to understand the math behind it, right? So we pretend Holy Relic can only go off every 1 second. It used to, with any other attack that isn't Lancing Steel or Spraying, if I'm doing like Cyclone or whatever, if my attack speed is 0.95 seconds, my first hit, a Holy Relic hits. Great. My second hit comes around, and it's only 95% of the way off cooldown, so it doesn't proc Holy Relic.
Right.
And then that 0.5 of a second later, Holy Relic's ready, but now it's waiting another 0.9 for me to come all the way around with my attack to go off a second time.
Okay.
So there's like this huge delay in damage.
Right.
Lancing Steel of Spraying fires all of its projectiles in a sequence that takes about 1.5 seconds to go off, and they all return, and we do it 4 times a second. So basically we're just doing so many individual hits all over the place all the time that we don't, because of Lancing Steel of Spraying, we don't have to worry about that interaction that you would have to with other abilities, right?
Right.
We get to ignore that, balance your attack speed perfectly to the cooldown of your skill thing.
Yeah.
But we do still need to work on the quality or the cooldown of Holy Relic, which can only gain cooldown one way, which is from quality on the gem. And so we end up using usually Ashes of the Star because that's one of the few ways to get quality. You end up using a Dialis to put it in a green socket because there's just so few ways to get it. You end up using an Enhance. There's a bunch of different breakpoints off the top of my head. I think it's like 3%, 14, 30, 52, 82, 128.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
82,
I think if I remember
82
correctly.
is usually the sweet spot. I think I just tell people to go for 82. 128 is like a whole thing. You don't need it. It's way too much investment for that last one, but that's because it's so reliant on quality and there's so few ways to add a decent amount of quality. it becomes not a really great plan for anything like solo self-found or small private leagues, or at the very least not for league starting them. You want to like gather that stuff first and then make that build.
Right. Yeah, that's I forgot. I honestly forgot about that until you had brought up Dialas, but yeah. I wanted to ask you, what do you want to see the most in 3.27?
Oh, I want to. There's so many answers to that, and it's going to depend on my mood. But right now, I want to see them revert the change to risk scarabs, because that was stupid. And
Can you explain to people what happened?
So risk scarabs for quite a while. Full risk strats are something I do a lot of and have done before this league as well. They're fantastic, but risks used to add one random modifier, which would just make your maps super juicy. It also means you have to be immune to every single map modifier in existence if you want to run a bunch of them. For some reason, they buffed them this league to add 2 random modifiers. They doubled their power, which meant instead of it being one of the options and some people would use it, it became the go-to option for every single strategy in existence. You're using anywhere from 3 to 5 risks, depending on the strategy. And it also means that if you want to do any endgame farm at all that's in maps, your build now has to be immune to all map mods, because all the best versions of every single strat in the game involve 3 to 5 risk scarabs. Right. And I'm just like, well, that's everything now. That's everyone. The people doing Harvest want it. The people doing Abyss want it. The people doing Breach want it. The people doing tier 17 map mod farms want it. The people, every strat wants to run risks now because they doubled their power, and they never needed it. They were already a viable option for some farms. Well, that's what you want scarabs to be, a viable option for some farms. That's perfect. That's where you want them to be. You don't want a single scarab to become the viable option for every farm. That's not right. So I want that to go, because I think that is severely limiting what builds can perform in the endgame, what builds can do of the endgame farms. Mm-hmm. Now they all have to be immune to all map mods, which is very limiting. I don't like that. So I want that to go back. Just take that change back.
That's that's what you would want to see the most right now, really?
Well, if I have to pick one thing.
Well, I mean, you could pick a couple things. Let's lighten up the restrictions on this question. What would you want to see? Maybe I could be more specific. What would you want to see as far as like class balance and like builds and stuff? What would you want to see?
Oh,
I know I'm going to keep hitting you with these really tough questions.
Oh man, the thing that comes up every time anyone asks anything like this is I'm really glad that my job is just to play the video game and not to make it, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know, man. Trickster's been way too godly strong for way too long.
Right.
It's the difference in a full min-max endgame power between Trickster and everybody else is like a fully grown adult beating up on children. This is not like this. They're not the same. The Trickster is insane, and it needs to be brought back in line.
They did nerf Escape Artist, but that really didn't do very much.
Yeah, but they didn't though. Sure, they nerfed Escape Artist at the same time they put in new bases that had higher values of those numbers that it used, and so it ended up exactly the same.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how they did that, right? I didn't even really think about that until you just said that. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting.
It just ended up not being a nerf. Trickster could use some good buying.
I would
very, very much love to see Minions get some love. I know I'm playing a strong Minion build, but it's an exception. It's not the rule. Other Minion builds, a lot of them, almost every Minion in the game is basically unusable.
Right.
They're not in a good place. There are some very specific exceptions, but like most of them real bad, to be honest. It's not great.
I want to see an assassin rework. That's what I want to see. I want to see that the most. I want them to completely redo that ascendancy.
I don't even know what assassin's for.
Well, you use it for crit and for poison. That's the base of it, right?
Except that you don't though.
Because well, because every
better at both
there's if you have a build that you want to make with an assassin, 100% of the time there is an ascendancy that does it better, which is sad. And you still have people that that play it, and that's fine. But it's such a small amount of people that play that ascendancy. They really need to fix that. I think that, let me see here. I'm just going to look at POE Ninja real quick just to see how many. So 0.5% of people are playing the assassin, and 1% are playing the saboteur, and 1% are playing the guardian. So maybe we will see a big rework on some of these. I don't know. You've been around a lot longer than I have. I don't know what they typically do in situations like this when it's such a drastic outlier.
Honestly, nothing. 9 times out of 10, they just do nothing and let it happen. And then eventually one time out of the blue, they'll be like, here's a rework. We reworked these like 3 or 4 things. And then, I don't know, 60% of the time those reworks are good. And they work out really well.
Yeah, I was playing a Guardian in Affliction League. I want to say it was a Guardian. Pretty sure it was. It was an SRS build. It was an SRS Guardian. I think that was Guardian that I was playing, if I remember correctly. It was a lot of fun. I liked it. So hopefully we'll see some good stuff. What else? What do you think as far as the? What do you think they're going to do as far as the league mechanic? What's your prediction? Do you have one?
I got nothing. I don't even know how to guess.
So I don't know if you saw, there was a thread that people were saying that you could tell the type of league it was going to be based off of the Steam teaser. Have you seen that? There's theory that goes around?
No.
Dude, it's pretty crazy. Let me see if I can find it. It's on Reddit, obviously, the only place you go to for true information on the internet. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
There's a Steam teaser?
Yeah, so here you go. Okay, so I found it. So it's by a guy named, I don't know how you say this, dude. It's SHP Doinkle. Yeah, I'll link it to you real quick. And I'll link it to you in Discord. Hold on. It's pretty fascinating, dude. The theory has some legs. I'm not going to lie. It seemed, I was like, this dude just tripping or what? But
Team. Both league with the... I mean, those all line up.
I know it's pretty out there, dude, but it's pretty cool. This is why I like the internet so much, dude, because of shit like this. I would have never thought of this, never put this together, dude, ever. This is pretty wild.
Yeah, but like, even if it was somewhat true, what am I going to do with like whatever the hell's in the background there? Some foliage? Like, okay, so it's a beast league or a farming league or a harvest league or an Einhar league.
I was thinking harvest, dude. I was thinking because of the foliage. I was thinking,
it could be almost that, like,
I was thinking harvest, dude.
It could be true, but if it is, it's still the kind of true that, like, we're not even going to know what it means until it's done, though.
I just thought it was pretty funny, dude, because, you see shit like this all the time on Reddit. It's pretty hilarious. But I wanted to kind of switch gears and just talk about Path of Exile 2 for a minute. What's been your experience so far with POE 2, the 0.3 patch? Are you liking the direction the game is going? How were you, if you were affected at all by the 0.3.1 patch? Did you like that? Just kind of, what are your thoughts on it in general?
Ooh. Okay, I do think it's in the best overall spot that it's been in. even if there are like some things I'm still not a fan of or whatever. But weirdly, I didn't super love the midway patch, just because they got rid of my rare indicators, and I don't know why they did that. And I don't want them to have done that, and I would like to take that back, please. It's not something I've like needed or wanted in their other games, but they've made it in such a way that I would say around about 70% of the total loot from a map comes exclusively from rare monsters.
Right.
And around about 15% comes from the boss of that map. Leaving the last 15% of the loot come from all of the blue and white mobs in the entire rest of the map combined.
Mm-hmm.
Which means they're basically not worth running. They're basically not worth killing. And it also means if I've left, say, 3 rare mobs in a corner together somewhere, I've missed a fairly decent chunk of the rewards from that map.
Right.
And so I kind of want those indicators back, because why want my rewards though? I would like to be getting rewarded for I want that indicator back. Alternatively, you could argue, and maybe that just shouldn't be the case, and that would be, I'd be on board with that, but like it is. So like for now, that's like, should that be the case? Probably not. We should probably like lean off those a little bit and into giving regular mobs more rewards, so that it isn't the case that exclusively only the rares feel rewarding.
Right.
But like, that's an argument for later. Right now, they are, and you took away the indicator.
I think... Personally, I think that if they made the Atlas passive tree better, that would fix that problem. I think that the way that the passive...
it's trash.
Yeah, the Atlas passive tree is terrible in Path of Exile 2. It's absolutely terrible. It feels like it is the most inconsequential part of the game. So you could just pick any nodes on there. Any. It doesn't matter. You just close your eyes, dude, and click until they're all gone. And it wouldn't make a difference. That's how I feel. I mean, I'm not sure if that works out mathematically or not, but it feels that way.
The way I describe it to people is if you were to watch somebody's gameplay on Twitch for half an hour and then watch somebody else for half an hour, and I was to ask you to figure out which one or what their tree looked like, you wouldn't have a clue. But how would you tell? You're not going to see a difference.
Right.
Whereas in POE 1, if I watch somebody farm for half an hour and then somebody's like, all right, show me what you think their tree looks like, I'm probably not going to nail it. But like, I'll have the important notes. I'll be like, wow, this guy's got like 16 breaches a map. So like, obviously we've taken these nodes and these nodes and these nodes, and I can tell that they're opening faster and closing quicker. So it must be this node, these ones over here. And then you can be like, all right, well, I've spent 70 of his points. I don't really know where the rest of them are, but like, you'll have an idea. You'll be able to put together something.
Yeah.
In PoE 2, you just, it could be anything.
I think that it's gonna come with, obviously, with more mechanics. Like the more mechanics that they add to the game, I think that they're just gonna have to meld the tree together. I don't know if it would work the same way it does in PoE 1 right now if they were to do that, unless they just completely did an entire rework, which I really feel like is going to come in 0.4. They said it's going to be a very endgame specific patch. So I'm assuming that they're going to be adding, maybe redoing the entire Atlas tree, maybe even mess with the Atlas a little bit. What are your thoughts on how the Atlas is right now with the Infinite Atlas? Do you like that, or?
All right, so well, two things. One, they're definitely reworking that. I'm surprised they haven't already. We do know that in the first beta or whatever, they added that in the final week. Right. It was just something to have a tree for now.
Right.
And so that first time it was acceptable because we were all like, Yeah. This is something they like added last second to just have something. So it's shocking that is still the tree we're using now, because it was obviously something added in no time at all that like no time was put into because we didn't have time. It was launching. It's launching now, whether you like it or not. Fair enough, right? But like, it's been a while now. We could do. It's been a while now. Like we don't need that. I do think they're going to be reworking it. I don't know if it's going to be this next one or not. Who knows? Like, I'd like to hope so because they said focusing on endgame, but like, as far as the tree goes, though, I love not tree the like endgame like actual atlas goes. I get crucified for this, but I actually love it, and I really hope they don't return us to a regular atlas.
Okay, that's interesting. What do you like about it so much?
So how do I describe it? If I was to say I like its potential more than I like how it is, would that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's the idea of like traversing the area, the idea of it being like a real location feels like exploring and going to look for things instead of some like, you know, like made up parchment where I can just generate whatever I want on the floor.
Yeah.
Right. This feels like a real thing. I don't think it's done super well right now. It could use a lot of love.
Yeah.
But I like the idea way more than I like the regular atlas we have in POE 1.
That's interesting.
So
I always
I'm
feel
just
like
hoping that they nail it somehow. Like it needs love. It's not correct now, but like it could be.
I feel like, my opinion of the current iteration of the Atlas is that you really lack like a feeling of progression in it. And I think I really feel like that once they add more league mechanics, once they fix the Atlas passive tree, that will be fixed, and maybe they could fix the way that you actually get the points for the Atlas passive tree. Because in Path of Exile 1, one of the best parts of every league is completing your Atlas. Like, that's how you're like, okay, I did it. Like, now I can like spec into what I want and like create my own end game now. And that's one of the beautiful parts about Path of Exile 1. And I really think that the feeling of progression is missing from the Infinite Atlas right now. But
I agree with that. I have also there's also the big problem for me with the current Atlas. The thing that I don't love is it also doesn't have any control. I feel like I don't have control. I only have RNG.
right.
I don't want the level of control that POE 1 has for POE 2. Like, POE 1 has so much control that I actually just run one single map forever, the entire league.
Yeah.
Like, there's what takes me 2 days to finish my Atlas, and then it's this map forever. And that's it. I don't want that. I do not want that to be a thing that we get over here. But that doesn't mean no control. No control is what we currently have, and I think that's objectively worse than having too much control. I think it's worse to have none. So I even have a plan for that.
What?
I don't know if it's
You care to share?
Yeah, I have a plan. I've told it on stream a whole bunch. There's certain things that people hate. They hate running bad maps, and they hate feeling like they're not in control. So there's a few systems that I want to see added that would give us some control without letting it devolve into POE 1's level of you can sustain this one map infinitely and this is the only thing you ever run now. Okay. So I don't want that. That would be worse. So a few things. One, I want to be able to favorite a biome. So at some point during progression from my maps, I want to be able to favorite a biome. What in my mind that will do is make that biome. There's currently 4 biomes, right? I would want to make it so that my favorited biome just essentially adds a copy of that biome. So like it'll instead of there being 4 biomes, there's going to be the equivalent of 5, but it's going to be the same biome twice. So you'll see significantly more of that biome, but you still deal with the other ones. We haven't gotten rid of them, which just means you're going to get twice as many of these as you will of anything else.
Okay.
So I get to pick a biome I like more. Then within each biome, I want 2 favorite slots and 2 hatred slots, or whatever we want to call them. A better name for that is going to be needed. But I want them to work together. I want the first one you unlock somewhere around early mid yellows to be like, they work together. You pick a map you hate, and you pick a map you love, and you change 50% of this map that you hate. Whenever it spawns, it'll spawn as the map you like instead. So we're taking 50% of those and making them into a good map. And then a second one that's twice as powerful that's later on, really late red maps when you're near completion of your like atlas or whatever it is, where it's 100%. We're going to delete this map from the biome and replace all of them with the one you like. Now that would only apply to each biome. Every single biome would have its own set of like hated and favorited maps. What that should lead to is me having a lot more of the biome I've picked, and then no matter what biome I've picked, way more of the 2 maps that I like the most, none of the one map that I hated the most, and very few of a second map that I hated the second most. But there'll still be a variety of maps in there, right?
Okay.
Like there's still going to be 12, 15 different kind of maps that can spawn.
Right.
We're just going to have some control. I'm going to be able to go, I'm never going to run Mire again because I hated that.
Yeah.
It's gone. I loved this map, so we're going to run twice as many of them. I liked this map, so I'm going to run 50% more of those.
Right.
And then I hated Augury, so I'm going to get less of them, but it wasn't as annoying as Mire to me, so I can run some of them if they need to be there. And now, not everyone's atlas will look the same. I now feel like I'm in control of shaping what I'm doing in the endgame, but I haven't lost RNG about it, and I haven't, like, become devolved into just one map forever sort of thing.
Okay.
That's my plan.
I had a very similar type of solution for it, and it's kind of similar. So what you would do is you would add back the favorite map slots, right? And you would divvy up the favorite map slots by biome. Same kind of thing, right? But here's the thing. They switch the waystones over to biome stones. So if you are, like, let's say your desert biome, you have a tier whatever within that biome, and that's the stone you can use in that biome. Then when you put the map into the map device, it randomly generates the map that you're going to go into. So you can only use certain ones. So then you could use your favorite, kind of similar to what you were saying, you could use your favorite slot to favor certain maps so that map is more likely to spawn when you use that biome. Let's call them biome stones. I was thinking something similar. So I don't know. We'll see what they do. I don't know if that's if that would even work, but it was just an idea that I had. What's your go ahead. What were you gonna say?
That's probably like the most in-depth actual game mechanic idea that I've like ever come up with.
Right.
Because like I'm not a developer. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. People shouldn't listen to me anyway. I'm just some dude who's playing video games, man.
I thought it was a really good idea, actually. I thought it was similar, really similar to the idea that I had. But yeah, it's I'm assuming that they're going to do something like that. I also do not like the. I'm similar to you, how I don't like the running the same map over and over again. You're really, really incentivized to do that in POE 1. Like you could run multiple maps, but it feels better. It's like it's more rewarding.
You could, but you shouldn't. Right. That's the problem.
It's less efficient. It's really less efficient. What are your thoughts on build diversity right now? The state of build diversity in Path of Exile 2. Do you like where it's at right now? Do you what do you want to see? What would you do to fix it?
Oh man, you know what? A large chunk of what I perceive the problem to be is actually just raw movement speed. It's actually a huge part of the problem.
Interesting.
It's not necessarily that there aren't a lot of builds that could work. There are, but they're actually just not good enough. They don't move quick enough, and people get sick of them real quick.
Okay. Do you have a couple examples, like some comparisons besides Deadeye?
Well, I mean, obviously, Deadeye is the obvious one, right? Because they can go 170 to even 220 was the highest I saw on movement speed. But there's also like different versions of like Spark or Comet builds or anything like that that just are able to head down the right-hand side of the tree and just take all the same nodes that the Deadeye took, and they're just not on a rower. And those people are still on 150, 160-ish% movement speed, right? Whereas if you're stuck on the like bottom, top, or left-hand side of the tree, if you can't go down that right-hand chunk, your movement speed, even if you build the Giga endgame boots that are real expensive to make, it's 60. Not 106, it's just 60.
Yeah.
And like, that's not... It's even worse if you're a minion build, because you have a mandatory pair of boots. You don't have a choice. You have to use Bones of Allure, and they only have 15%. And there's nothing you can do about that. There's a specialty expensive, like single-use jewel that can give you movement speed based on the amount of spirit you have. Which would be really cool, except it's capped at 40%. And it makes no other movement speed things apply to you, which also means you can't sprint.
What?
Yeah.
What's it called? What's the jewel called? I don't even know what this is.
Aminamahu's Gaze, I think it is.
Oh, it is. Okay, hold on. Let's see.
Yeah, it ignores the movement speed roll on the boots. It ignores all other movement speed things. So you can't get any off the tree. You can't put movement speed jewels in anywhere else. And then it caps your movement speed at what you would need like 500 spirit to get. And the cap, the total cap, it just ends up being 40%. And you're like, oh, okay. So I just get to crawl. And there's no matter how much money I put into it, I just get to crawl forever.
Wow.
And you're like, oh, that's like, how is that okay? What are you talking about?
Right. So what do you think is going to be the solution to that? Do you think they're going to have to bring the top builds in line and slow them down? Do you think they're going to buff the other skills up? What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, I don't know what's going to happen, but it definitely needs to be a combination.
Okay.
Obviously, 170% movement speed that the Deadeyes are using, way too much. That's way too high. Like, that's not reasonable. You shouldn't have that much.
Right.
For this game. But at the same time, 40% is not... That's not an endgame amount of movement speed. What are you talking about? That isn't reasonable at all.
Right.
Right? Like, so it's definitely going to be a combination. Various builds that I've played, I feel really like this is just a personal feeling, I guess, but it feels like I have an appropriate amount of movement speed when I'm sitting on around about 100 by endgame.
Okay.
Like, and somewhere in the 90 to 100-ish region, I feel like a strong, powerful character. I feel relatively zoomy, but not so much that I'm like ignoring everything in existence. Like, I don't feel like I've cheated or anything. So I guess in my mind, I'd like to see the slower builds brought up to like, maybe your like warriors and like typically slow builds only end up getting maybe somewhere around the 70 to 80 mark. And like your average building ending up around 100. And then like your Deadeye super speed builds probably should end up at maybe like 130-ish. Because you should be faster on those sort of builds, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Like, that makes sense. It's just, it's not that they shouldn't go faster. It's that they shouldn't go 4 times the speed of everyone else.
Right.
Like the discrepancy is too high. So they need to be brought down, but also everyone else needs to be brought up. And then when you do bring them down, you can't bring them down so far that, right? Like so far that that they might as well not be playing, right? Like it's not, you can't bring them down that far, but.
So you're currently playing a minion build in POE 2, correct?
No, I changed into, I think I'm playing Spark Blood Mage, or I was last time.
Okay. I was looking at your minion build that you had made the video on. What would you say is the biggest difference between creating builds in Path of Exile 2 and creating builds in POE 1?
Oh, you don't create builds in Path of Exile 2? You just put together the tools that were designed in the building.
It's so true. It's
that nobody's created a build yet. That's not true. One person created a build one time, and then GGG deleted it. They nerfed it. It's gone.
What build was that?
In the first iteration, during the first launch, about a month or 2 in, somebody, I wish I remembered who this person was. I'm very sorry that I can't give you credit for it. I forget who it was. It was a name that I didn't recognize at the time.
Okay.
Created a build using using a charm that would like proc over and over again and did like these full screen explode ignite things.
Oh, okay.
And it was like 4 to 6 weeks in or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first build I saw put together that I was like, oh, look, it's clever. Because everything else, you haven't made a build yet. You've just put together, GGG made the builds. You just put all the pieces together in the order they told you to. Like that's what's happened. This guy made his own build, and in the first patch, it's gone. They deleted that. Yep. That's gone. You can't run that anymore.
So, can you elaborate for people? Because there's a lot of people out there that say, "Yeah, you know what? I put together this build." So, can you elaborate what you mean by you don't make builds in POE 2?
Well, yeah. Okay, it's a little bit of an inflammatory statement, I guess, when I just say it like that.
It's a little bit of hyperbole, but it's okay.
It's one of the largest differences between POE 1 and POE 2. In POE 1, when we come up with making builds and interesting things and things people haven't seen before, we quite often surprise even the people who designed the game. Because even the people in the building who have made the game will be like, yo, I never even thought of this. Look at this. Look at how he's put these tools together. Look at what's going on over here. And that happens regularly.
Right.
That happens regularly, like several times every league. Something interesting no one even in the building thought of can pop up. In Path of Exile 2, there is so much restriction and limitation that even if you feel like you came up with a build, what you really did was discover a tool that was intended to work together. Right. And then put it together the way they designed it to go together. You just worked out what they'd already planned. So I don't really think any of us are actually making builds. Okay. We're just discovering the different pieces that they intended to work together for now. Right now, it's probably my #1 complaint about POE 2. There is so much arbitrary restriction that the ability to be creative is very, very heavily hindered.
Yeah,
it's very, very stifled with its all limitations everywhere.
Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about it briefly before we got on the podcast. But they're very trepidatious about giving us power in the game, and it really shows in the amount of restrictions that they placed on us. I think that I would venture to say that in Path of Exile 1, there still has not been all the builds created yet. I don't even know if it's possible.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah. I think it feels...
If that were true, I would not be surprised at all.
It feels like there's an infinite amount of build variety in Path of Exile 1, which I'm sure Path of Exile 2 is going to get there too. It's probably just going to take some time. We still don't have any of the weapons in there. I'm very interested to see how they're going to do traps in the game. I'm very excited. I really enjoy the mine/trap play style. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I like it. I like Hex Blast.
The news is we know a tiny bit about that.
Do we?
We know a tiny bit. Well, unless it's changed since then. But we do know that at least that mines and traps will essentially be the same thing.
Okay.
All mine and trap skills will be the same skills. It'll be the same list. And you will have options on how you deploy them. You will be able to deploy them as mines that you trigger, or able to deploy them as traps that mobs trigger. But it'll be the same list of skills for both things. So it'll be the deployment method you make a choice on.
Wow. Okay. Where did you hear this?
I forget. I hope that was something I was allowed to say. Also, it was definitely more than a year ago when I learned that. So it could have changed by then as well. Right. So, everything is a grain of salt until we get it. And probably more than a year since I heard about that plan.
Yeah,
if it was like... Yeah.
The change to Hex Blast in Path of Exile 2 really baffled me. Like, they made the skill almost not usable. Like, I don't... Yeah. Like, I don't understand.
And then they gave us Doedre's Undoing support, which is essentially Hex Blast this league. Which is, it's just old Hex Blast. They just gave it back.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
I don't understand.
Yeah, it's really weird. I'm wondering if we're going to get... support gems similar to Ballista Totem support, because they already gave us Mortar Cannon, which is kind of like Ballista Totem but for grenades. I wonder if we're going to get similar support gems like Spell Totem, Ballista Totem. I'm curious to see what they end up doing with that.
We definitely have Spell Totems coming. They should come with whatever the Templar is.
Okay.
And the reason we can be relatively certain about that is because of the positioning of Ancestral Bond and the totem wheel that is up there.
Okay. Interesting.
There's Ancestral Bond, unlimited number of summoned totems. Totems will have 75 spirit each. And it's literally in the Templar area, headed towards Witch and all the Spellcaster, but still within the Templar area. So that tells me we're definitely getting... the spell totems, right? And that they should be coming with Templar. That's pretty much as far as I can go with that, though, because that positioning indicates that it will be there. But otherwise,
it's fascinating. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, you're probably right. I wanted to ask you, the last thing I'll ask you, I know we've been going for quite a while now. I think this is the longest podcast I've done so far. How do you feel? No, dude, I love it, man. I love these podcasts where you just sit, and Path of Exile is the type of subject where we could talk for 5 or 6 hours, I'm sure, about just Path of Exile 1, it's pretty cool.
Certainly.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you about crafting, like where, I personally have really, really enjoyed crafting this league. And I think that it's on track to have, now this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I really feel like it's on track to have a better crafting system than Path of Exile 1 if they keep going this direction. What are your thoughts on crafting so far?
Okay. I already like Path of Exile 2 crafting more than I like Path of Exile 1 crafting.
Oh, wow.
Already.
Wow. Okay. So now I don't feel like that was such a hot take.
I get pushback for this because people are like, the top end, it's so strong. You can just build Miracraft items or whatever. You can make like the strongest item in the world, and you can do like perfect tier 1s on everything. And they're all right. You can do those. And the people who craft mirror tier items are doing that with those items. And they're right. And that is fair criticism. However, those mirror crafters were already doing it anyway. It just cost them way more. Right. And they're going to do it whether they have this system or not. They were always going to do that. Right. They do it regardless. If the only way to make the item was to slam and chaos spam it, someone out there would still make the perfect items and put up mirror shops. Those 1%, 0.01% crafters, they're always going to be making those. It doesn't matter what you give them or what you take away. If you make it so impossible that the idea of 6 tier 1s on a single item isn't even reasonable within the league, they will still make an item 25 times better than the average item that will still be classed as mirror tier at that point. They're always going to make an item that's at the end. So I don't actually care about the top 1% crafters, because that's not me, and they're always going to make that item no matter how powerful or not powerful the system is.
Right.
So I care about the people in the top 30 or 40%, right? Which is a much larger, much more casual group that are still in the end game and still trying, but nowhere near that level. And because that's also in the area that I sit in. Now, I hate it, but I'm probably more towards the top end. I'm probably in at least the top 5 to 10%. But the people I'm caring about are like the top 40-ish% there, rather than the top 1%, right? The people who are in the end game actively involved, maybe not the absolute best, not full degenerates, but we're here and we're crafting and we're doing things. We can use this system. It's simple. It's all, I can do it all in my inventory. It's all stuff that I can do from my hideout. I don't have to go to 7 different places to do it. I like this system way better, and your average player can now get involved in the crafting. That makes it better.
Right.
I like that. I hope they don't take it away from us just because the 0.1% are making too many mirror items. There were always going to be mirror items. That's not your problem. But the people complaining about that, you don't have a mirror anyway. You couldn't afford it. Stop worrying about that.
Right.
You can craft your own items now. That's great. Right?
I think that they're probably going to nerf the homogenizing exaltation or omen.
I hope they don't.
I'm pretty sure that that's the one that makes it so viable. Like if they took that out, like think about it. I mean, you could still do some stuff, but it would not be nearly as powerful as deterministically. You know what I mean?
Yep. I hope they don't. I'm good with it all, but they might.
Yeah. I really like the changes that they made. I really do. I was kind of nervous that they weren't going to do that. I thought they were just going to make it an RNG fest for the rest of time.
For all of time, yeah.
That's awesome, man. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time out to do this. Can you let people know how they can support your channel when you're streaming? What's the best way to support? Is it Twitch, YouTube?
It's almost always Twitch, although I am BalorMage everywhere.
Okay.
I'm live every day. I'm not super reliable on my stream times. I wish I was better at it, but honestly, it really depends. So time of day, can't probably help you with that, but it'll just be BalorMage everywhere. That's me.
Cool. I'll put all your links in the description. Thanks again, man. Thank you guys for watching another episode. Got a few more of these coming up with some content creators you might know. Please don't forget, show some love to my guest. And if you haven't already, subscribe to BalorMage. He's on YouTube and Twitch. His links are in the description. Stay tuned, guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.